Hey, long time no see. Also from a different, much darker location. That is because I've been changing rooms for where I was recording because my wife's going to be working in the other room. And now I'm over here. So the setup's going to look a little bit different till I can make a nice, um, decent setup. Also, the place I used to record underneath the bed, it's behind me. It's back there, but it has a bunch of crystals and stuff on it. The desk is right here in the middle, in the not in the middle of the room, in the one end of the room, but it's also messy and has the animals back there. It has the two bearded dragons and the birdies back there. So we have the wall, the green screen. So you're gonna be seeing me green screen for a little bit, and this lighting is absolutely awful, but you'll see it hopefully a little bit better. Um, as I get more lighting at different things. Anyway, hello. I've been gone for quite a bit. Um, that is because of a few things, primarily over the last month. In addition to working a bunch, I have been working on a special project. My wife and I have been working together because we went to Momocon. Momocon, for those of you who don't know, it's a big convention in Georgia every year, the last week of May. Big convention of fandoms, whether it be the and anything you're a fan of, they have that here. They have that here, whether it be nerdcore music, wrestling, anime, cartoons, video games, everything. They have everything here. And we went a couple years ago for the first time. Uh, on the one Saturday for one day because the anime rap takeover was there with the first one in 2022. The next year, they didn't have the anime rap takeover, but we decided to go the entire weekend. And my wife cosplayed last year as Tinkaton, and that was her first like cosplay. She made a giant hammer. There's a whole bunch of stories to that. If you guys want to know a little bit more about that story, I'll have her on. But the reason I have been absent for quite a bit and the videos kind of stopped on Cruise Productions for a minute is because I was working on my own cosplay. Yes, I cosplayed for the first time. Myself and my wife, we decided to do a group cosplay together because it was fun. We wanted to try to enter the cosplay contest, which we did, and I'll tell you about that. It's a bit of a story time. This might be a little bit of a longer video, but just so you guys know where I've been, and also where I can show you guys my first cosplay. Let me skip over to the first picture I have, and these pictures were all taken by my friend PB, aka Pale Band-Aid, over on Twitch. You need to check her out. She is absolutely amazing. She is such a sweetheart, and she was so helpful. She came all the way from from her place. She drove down and visited, and we went to Momocon all 4 days, and she just hung out with us. But just giving her an awesome shout out. There are 4 people who went to Momocon. As far as our group, it was myself, my wife, Wild Shenanigans, my sister-in-law Poplava, and then Pale Band-Aid, PB. All 4 of us went to Momocon. Now here's the big review, which you should see in the thumbnail. You'll see in the thumbnail. Is this? This, if I can zoom in real quick, this is my first cosplay, and my wife as Nifty next to me. I was Husk from Hasbin Hotel. For those of you who may not know Hasbin Hotel, why are you living under a rock? But basically, it is it's a adult cartoon. I cannot stress that enough. It is very adult themed, very graphic at certain points. It's adult things, but basically, the basic premise is that the daughter of Lucifer, her name is Charlie, wants to stop her people from being slaughtered in a mass extermination every year in that heaven puts on hell to kill those souls off, and she wants to do that by helping sinners rehabilitate to see if they can get into heaven. And there's a lot of other things ensued. That's a very basic premise there. But this was my first cosplay. I gotta be honest. The more I look at it, the more I cringe at it. But I also realize I didn't do too bad. My wife, absolutely stunning. Both in cosplay and out of cosplay, absolutely stunning. Myself, I look so disheveled. Look at this face. Look at that face. Look at these eyes. I love the eyes, but let's go over bits and pieces one at a time. Because this is a big project. I cannot stress that enough. This was a huge project that we've actually been working on for quite a few months. And the only reason I went into overdrive in this last month is because the con was happening. Fun fact here, this cosplay I only wore one day. My wife wore her cosplay all 3 out of 4 days. I only was able to wear mine on Sunday because it wasn't done until Saturday night going into Sunday. Now Sunday morning right before the con. So I'm gonna go over some of the bits and pieces here. You cosplay vets, go ahead and judge me or critique me or give me pointers. I don't care. It's fine. I'm probably honestly not going to go this far into cosplay again. If anything, it's going to be, if I do cosplay anything, it's going to be the simplest shit I can ever do. So I'll go over mine, and I'm going to briefly go over my wife's first, because I'll talk about my wife's at the end. I'll talk about mine because this is my channel. So start from the top down. As I'm looking at it. So, start with the ears and the hat thing. That is actually on a headband. That is on like one of those black headbands right there, and it is velcroed to said headband. I should have glued it. Honestly, I should have just glued it because those ears kept fucking falling off my head the entire time. But I should have just glued it. The hat. So I 3D printed the hat initially. I had 3D printed the hat and 3D printed the ears. I covered the ears in white fur and fabric sprayed it gray. The hat in the middle, I originally 3D printed the hat, but the problem is with my head shape being as round as it is, there was not enough space for the hat that I made, that I 3D printed in the middle of those ears. So what I did, I took a paper plate. I just needed to make sure my voice was still recording. I took a paper plate and I cut 2 circles on it, a small one and a big one, and that center round piece was a toilet paper roll. It was a toilet paper roll that I just covered in felt and cut out the fabric and glued it on, and I was like, good enough. Let's go. So that's that. The glasses and eyebrows combo. I am so grateful for the amount of people that helped me for this. So throughout this entire process, I did most of it by myself, but I had help from my wife, both of her parents, my sister-in-law, and P&B. I had help across the board from all of them, because I wanted to try to get this right, and I seem to be the one struggling the absolute most. You could tell by the final execution. But my mother-in-law actually, and my father-in-law, made these glasses for me. They took normal sunglasses that were as close to Husk's eye shape as possible. They popped out the lenses, covered it in a mesh, and like a face mask mesh, and painted it for the eyes. And then I keep forgetting material. I keep saying I think it's Lexan or linoleum or something that's not like it's like a hard plastic, but it's like wavy. Whereas the design of the eyebrows and cut out and attached to this. So this was, and they painted the middle as close to skin tone as they can for a Hispanic man who's dying in the sweat. Uh, for the eyes. So the eyes and the ears up here. The wings are going to be last. You see a little red bow tie back here. The red bow tie was made by PB. And PB made this bow tie. It was just a little red puff of material with filling in the middle, polyfiber filling, that went all the way around my neck. And I was able to tuck it underneath the collar of the gray shirt. So it was a tie-on one. I am wearing suspenders that I had purchased. Underneath the suspenders was a gray shirt that I had for like husk gray. By the way, let me pull up something here. Hold on. Let me pull up the reference. Let me pull up the reference photo. No, not Bing. I want to go to Google. Husband Hotel. Okay. So real quick, let me transition over here. This right, let me move me real quick. This right here is my reference photo. The one on this side is my reference photo. I was trying to go off of this best I can. The gray shirt was the gray parts of his fur. The undershirt was interesting. The undershirt, let me move this over. The undershirt is a normal, like, there's a white undershirt that was like really thin. It's supposed to be loose enough to cover me, but also covering and making it look white. With a big patch, a big square of white fur in the very front, just covering the chest area. Everything else was a loose shirt. Fur was right here. And the wings will be are attached via a system. I will talk about those in a second. Moving on to the gloves. So the gloves are actually really cool. And the gloves are probably one of the things I'm most proud of in. You can't see it in this picture. Let me see if any of the pictures I have gloves in it. No, of course not. But this is one where you can see most of it. They have yellow hearts on the palms, as the reference photo kind of shows. The yellow hearts on the palms. And then there's a white glove that I had, like a white like cotton glove underneath the black. So there's a glove, a white shirt, and the black over it to not hide the seam. And then these claws are actually 3D printed, and they had glue around the inside of the rim so they wouldn't fall off. But I had gloves on each hand, and I think they were really cool. They allowed me to still use my fingers, but they were 3D printed, and they ended up out really cool. Moving on, I just used a pair of my black dress pants. The tail was pretty annoying throughout, I gotta be honest. The tail was a pool noodle, a pink pool noodle, that had a copper wire in the middle that proved to be utterly useless because it was supposed to hold it up. And unfortunately, the weight of the amount of stuff I put on it messed that up. Because this is cosplay foam right here that was molded with clay to hide some of the seams and then just painted in really nice lines. This was originally just a pool noodle covered in cosplay foam and clay trying to model it, but it kept chipping the paint and stuff. So what my wife did was tape the electrical tape the for loving hell out of it, and it was just black electrical tape going all the way down. These furry shoes, I actually made. I took a normal pair of canvas shoes. I put fluffy filling material in between, and then I hot glue fur over it, cut it over it, and then my first case of using them here, I stapled the fur to the sole of the shoe so that way it would hold. But this was the warmest my feet have ever been in my life. Oh man, the shoes are also something I was really proud of. If I wanted to make any critique on them, I would have tried to define the toes more, but they were covered. And now this brings me on to these. The reason I probably won't do a cosplay this intense again is because of these wings. These wings, just so you know, they weren't out like that the whole time. I flared them out because this was the beauty of it. I made these wings on a pulley system. We were trying to figure out the best way to do this, and we put the wings on a pulley system to where you pull two strings on the back and they fan out. You pull two strings on the back and they fan out so that way they're behind you and they just look cool. And then when you let go of the ropes, they release back down. That part and trying to figure out the best way to do that took me all the way up to the last week of the con, before the con. So fast forward to the days before the con, the day before the con, and I'm still trying to put these together. I don't know how to sew. None of this is sewn, by the way. None of this is sewn. It is, well, aside from that little bit of fur, which somebody else did for me, none of this is sewn together. It is all through duct tape, fabric, attached in a very me way, and a dream. So, basically, here's what you have. You have, let me see if I can actually find some of the photos I have of the during part. Let's see if I have them on Google Photos, which I should. Yes. Okay, I'm hesitant to show that, actually, because this room is a mess, and never mind. I'm not showing that, because the room is a mess, and I will be killed for that. Also, however, before I forget, huge shout out to this guy, who was right in front of us. This Furby cosplay that somebody made out of like pom-poms and stuff. This is absolutely terrifying. Thank you for being a joy to my day. However, basically the way that ended up being. Do you have any pictures of during as well? Anything else from during? Gotta see. I don't think so. No. No. Okay. All right. This is gonna be all on there. So basically, what this ended up being is there is PVC pipe underneath there that was melted and flattened. It was flattened to where they were just like flat pieces of plastic put with screws and set up like a big like joint pulley system to where there are two levers in the middle that had a cord going this way, the cord going this way to the opposite side, so when you pull down, they fanned up. Those are attached to a set of 4 PVC in a square that is attached to 2 backpack straps, which you can actually, if I zoom in real quick, you can see one right here and one right there. You can see a little bit of white. 2 backpack straps, and then this down here, this belt right here. I took one of my old pants belts and I attached it to it, so then it was like strapped to my back. When it comes to the fabric situation, there is black fabric on the inside, red fabric on the outside. I don't know how to sew. I was never shown how to sew. So 2 days before the convention, 2 days into the convention, between Friday night or Friday morning at 9 a.m. and Sunday morning at midnight going into the Sunday morning, I did not sleep. I pulled an all-nighter between Friday and Saturday trying to finish these stupid wings. And because nothing I was doing, I was given like this tape that you're supposed to iron and it seals it, but it was like a silky fabric, so it wasn't staying. So I said, screw it. I waited till 6 a.m. that morning. 6 a.m. that morning, I went to Walmart and I purchased a stapler with staples in it, with like 1,000 staples in it. And there's probably 100 to 200 staples in this, all around the corners, all around the sides, trying to staple it shut. Stapling this thing shut to the point where I can actually attach feathers to it. So I took hot glue, glued a bunch of individual feathers to it, and I didn't order enough feathers. So, that Saturday morning, I also went on a trip to a party store, and I purchased a feather boa. A red feather boa for the back to cover up the top. And I was going to just trim off the feathers for it, but my father-in-law was like, why don't you just I would have just glued the boa straight to it. So that's what I did. I glued the feather boa to it, so it glued from one end to the other, and it made it look nice and full and everything. And so Saturday morning comes, and I don't have it finished glued. Everybody else is ready to go to the con. And my wife talks to me and says, it's not, you need to finish this. There's some parts of it still messed up. Why don't you just enjoy the con today and go tomorrow during the cosplay contest? I'm like, okay, fine. So we do that. We absolutely do that. Let's go back here. So we do the con. I actually have a picture real quick. Hold up. I have a picture of me during day 2, and you can actually kind of see how sleepy and disheveled I am. I'm going to be so embarrassed with this picture, but it's fine. Let's go here. This is me, my half sleepy face, looking like I haven't slept in weeks, in front of a Kirby car. With a very noticeable unibrow that I have gotten rid of since. I look so bad. It's a dark line. Back to this. So, come home that night, and my mother-in-law and my father-in-law finished these eyes, but they also get me a couple more feather boas. A couple black ones for the front, and one more red one for the back. So we finish it out. There are some patches on there, but I really didn't have enough time. It was good enough, and I was able to make it work. I put myself together, messy hair and all, put myself together. The tail was attached to the wings, by the way, which made it infinitely more difficult to move around. But that was my first cosplay, and I probably won't do it again. I might do something simple, but I'm never doing anything like wings again. I'm never going like super crazy with it. If I do cosplay anything again, it's probably just going to be the simplest thing I can find. Real quick, I do want to go over my wife's cosplay because she did an absolutely amazing job. She made this skirt and this shirt with the frills on it. She didn't make the shirt. She adjusted the shirt, but she made this skirt out of material. She made the apron and designed the apron out of this like canvasy type material. 3D printed the knife. 3D printed the knife and a couple daggers and stuff. 3D printed this mask and painted it. It looks absolutely insane. You can't see her eyes back here, but this was the red visor where she can, like this red bit behind the eye. I wish you could see my cursor. Hold on, can I not show you my cursor? There we go. This red bit right here around the visor, that's where her eyes are, but you can't see them. And she had no peripheral vision. She also made this wig. She took a normal wig as the base that's underneath, and it was like hardened. And then she took metal wire and did the shape, filled it up with foam, and then covered it in felt. It was an amazing wig. Amazing wig. She had the black gloves on and everything, and she was absolutely awesome with that. And she did a fantastic job, way better than anything I did. And people kept wanting to take pictures of her, including one I'll have to shout out at the very end, a very surprise at the end. So, we enter the cosplay contest. Look at this duo right there. This duo right here. Entering the cosplay contest with a thing all its own. Now, one thing I do want to get into this point. Of 27 minutes in, by the way. I apologize for how long this video is going to be. Momocon. This is my biggest issue with Momocon this year. Is it seems that the Momocon staff, or the volunteers who were at Momocon, and the staff that was working at the Georgia World Convention Center, the GWCC, never once communicated about anything. When they were trying to put stuff up in for our section, when we got let's start from the beginning. Basically, right here was us in line to get prejudged for the contest. The counting and everything was a whole mess. They didn't count right. They had given my sister-in-law, who was also in the contest, I don't have a picture of her, unfortunately. They had counted, everybody gave them a number, and by the time we got to the front, we find that they were off by 4 numbers. So 4 people had cut the line, and the judging of the cosplay contest was an absolute mess this year. I will say that. It was an absolute mess. The prejudging, people cutting in line, whatever have you, that ended up being a whole issue in its own. We get backstage behind a room in the Murphy Theater, and it's blocked off by these movable panels for the walls. And as we're sitting there waiting for instructions, this group of people who work there start moving the walls to another section, moving it so that everybody's cosplay can be seen, and everybody can be seen. And the people who are running the cosplay contest are like, why are you guys moving the walls? They're like, oh, we have a DJ rave coming up soon. We were told to move these. Well, can you not move them all? No, we're going to move them anyway. And they were just arguing back and forth the entire time. And eventually they settle on, okay, we're just going to have to put some curtains up, tell them to not take all the chairs, because they were going to take all the chairs, and put the curtains up so that way they couldn't be seen, but they could still be in the spot. I don't know if you guys notice this from this, but these wings, when they fold down, they are still pretty wide. They're still pretty wide. Um, so me and Wild both had to go. So we were originally in line. We each got a ticket for what number we were entering, and we were number 6. We were supposed to be 6th out on stage. Keep that in mind. We come to find out that because of me not being able to fit through walls and because of some health stuff, that we are going to be able to take the flight of stairs going up to the stage because it's a narrow hallway. It's a narrow hallway. I could barely fit in it. I would have to shimmy sideways. This narrow hallway. So they grab myself, my wife, and a group of people whose cosplays are either too big to fit through, have ADA restrictions, which I'll get back to in a second, and just various other like issues as to why they cannot take that flight of stairs up. And we go back, even further back into like the deep halls of the GWCC, where they had a bunch of like speed food racks and stuff in the back behind the stage, because the goal was for us to go into a freight elevator, get lifted up stage level, and then go do our thing. Well, I thought they were just going to kind of stagger us in so everybody stayed in order. But apparently, when this moment happens right here, the reason this moment right here is us being the first ones on stage. Because they put us in number order, but only the people who had gone on the freight elevator. And the earliest number happened to be 6. And we found out we were going to be the first ones on stage maybe 5 minutes before we were actually on stage. So, if you can imagine the panic on my wife's face, it being hot as hell in that mask, being crazy on there, and we are the first ones. We are the first ones up on stage. So we kind of come up with a game plan, and I'll show you from this video real quick. Can I zoom in any further? Okay. She had gone. There are 3 white X's on the stage, where there was one here, one in the center, and then one here, to where you're supposed to go up, run to the one, go to the middle. You can actually kind of see them back here real quick. You can see the center one and the right one, but you go to this X on stage, you do a pose, you go to the back X, you do a pose, and then you go to the other one. Let me see if I'm getting any desktop audio. I have my desktop audio muted because I don't have any headphones. So we did a little bit of a pose because she went to go stab the judges first, and so we do a pose when I stop her. We go to the center, and I fan my wings out. You can see them fanning out. And then she has this look on her face, and she goes over to stab the other. You can wait, go back. You can see the absolute terror on the face of the one judge, because she ran over, and then she wanted to stab him, and then just looked defeated. And so we go to the back, and that was it. So we were the first ones out on stage, and we were the first ones out on stage with about 5 minutes to go on the stage. They run through all the ADA people and all the people who couldn't fit up there, including one person. I felt so bad. He had this giant mech suit that he was on stilts, and he fell over backstage, and he like had an incident where he couldn't get up and he couldn't compete. His cosplay just disintegrated. So they took him to the nurse and everything. It was crazy. But we were the first ones up on stage, and spoiler alert, no has-been or hell of a boss creations won. Um, One of the big things that the judges did, I didn't really kind of agree with. There were two big things I noticed. One of them was a lot of them had like some sort of foam cosplay armor, and it's like very safe IP. Which, yeah, you could choose to be fans of whatever, but most of the time you either sewn something really well or you did cosplay foam. You did foam armor, and those were the things that won it for you. Also, we didn't really, maybe one person was ish. We didn't see really any like plus size people there. I'm not like calling too much bias on there because I know I wasn't gonna win. I know I wasn't gonna win there, but there were a bunch of other acts on there that I thought should have gotten at least some recognition out there. But that being said, the contest itself was kind of a huge mess as far as how it was handled, and as far as ADA stuff is concerned for people with disabilities. If you try to go to Momocon, if it's next year's Momocon is anything like this year and you have a disability, honestly, it might be a little hard for you to go to Momocon because the way that they had the booths and stuff set up this year is they had everything on the entire opposite side of the campus, and it's all supposed to interconnect. They blocked off certain escalators and elevators to where if you went down those areas or you try to go down those areas, it's like, no, you have to walk all the way to the end of the hall and you have to go down at the end of the hall, making it anybody who has walking problems, asthma, stuff like that, made it really difficult for them. And so if you have like a disability or something to get around, this not necessarily the easiest con for you to get around. And I sincerely hope going forward that Momocon as a convention and any convention at the GWCC is handled better for people with disability. For people with disability, like a couple of the people that I was with have issues. They have issues with like POTS and stuff, and they can't keep going those huge distances. They have issues with like rolling their ankles constantly, and so this wasn't very accessible friendly. Unless you were in like maybe even in a wheelchair, it was probably harder for you to get around anything because they wouldn't let anybody down in different sections. You all had to go to the very end, clustered onto one escalator going down, and you were all like, you could not enter in different buildings. They were trying to have people guiding different ways. It was just a huge mess. And I hope sincerely going forward that Momocon, as far as a staff base on that they communicate between the volunteers and the GWCC staff, so that way they're all on the same page and you don't hear something from one side and then the other, and that they're more accessible to those with disabilities, because honestly, as an observer, I don't have any really disabilities myself. I just had giant wings for this contest. But as a person who was observing, especially people in my close circle who have disabilities, this was very hard for them to get around. It was hard for them to get around the convention and do everything. We hardly did everything because it just made it so hard to get to these places because the staff wasn't communicating and they kept sending them all the way across, and it took us more time. So I hope sincerely going forward that the Momocon staff, I keep calling them staff. They're volunteers. None of them were getting paid for it. And one of the biggest communication issues that I heard from somebody, I don't know if it's true or not, they did have a record number of volunteers, but a bunch of them no-showed things. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that was one of the things I heard. But I hope sincerely going forward that they think a little bit more about the disability side of thing and the ease of access to people will make your con way more enjoyable. If you have certain sections blocked off for certain things, I get it. But if you have certain things blocked off for a single event, we had to walk across the entire building because the Spider-Man photo shoot, they tried to break the world record of most Spider-Man in a picture. Spoiler alert, they didn't. And we had to go all the way across the building because their photo shoot ended up like right in the middle, and we couldn't use that section to go cut through, or just to go down to right where the lockers were, where we had to go grab our stuff. We had to go around. So say the locker was right here, we had to, instead of going down here, we had to go all the way around and come back to the locker from all the way around the side. It was a mess. It was a struggle, and I hope that the map layout and things are way more thought of than just, oh, we'll just put stuff here, we'll just put things there. And so I hope sincerely they do better. Tangent aside, this as soon as I got out of this, I took my wings off, I took everything off, and you could see that by the next pictures, where I'm like, these next pictures right here where I'm like, this is what I looked like. I didn't have my ears on. They fell apart literally as I was leaving. You could see I'm missing my gloves. I'm holding the wings open. I look an absolute wreck. She slayed it though. She absolutely slayed it. Look at this. Amazing cosplay. Shout out to this group of people here. By the way, this awesome group of people who were taking pictures. Some of them had competed in the contest. I know these two together, the Alistair right here and the Beelzebub one definitely competed in the contest. But shout out to this group of people here. They were absolutely cool. We took a bunch of pictures with them and stuff. We even took a video of Adam getting killed. And Adam just on the floor while we're all discussing. Adam just dying in the middle. Let me see. I do have a couple pictures. If you doubt how popular has been or Hell of a Boss is, just take a look at a couple of these. This you can see my wife here, but you could see a bunch of different cosplays for various different things of all shapes and sizes, including a dog Nifty right here. But all a bunch of characters from it. I didn't have my cosplay ready for this day, but this was just a huge group of people. The has-been peeps. Oh, let's see. Oh, this was the. Hang on, I got a good shot of the dagger. The good shot of the dagger we also 3D printed. Check that out. All right. Let's see what else. We got another shot of has-been peeps. There she is with the dagger. Oh, you can see the giant golden duck right here. This is a really great turnout. This was all of the Nifties and Alistairs together. My Nifty is watching the dog Nifty. There was a dog cosplaying, which was cool. And then all of the Nifties that were there on that initial Saturday or that initial Friday. I think honestly, I like all the other Nifties. I do think I might be biased, but I think my wife's was the absolute best. And you know who might think it was a decent Nifty as well? Oh, also, this is the Nifties stabbing the Adams. Just getting them down. Okay. That was my one badge there. But you know who might have had an excellent reaction to this, which is absolutely crazy to say. I need to show you briefly this. Now, this may just look like an Instagram reel, which it is, but this is on the account, the Momocon 2024 story of Vivzy Bibzy, aka Vivzy Pop herself. She and my wife didn't get a chance to meet Vivzy. She really wanted to meet her. She really wanted to meet her, but she just was busy with so many other things between a cosplay thing and trying to figure out stuff that she never ended up going to meet her and standing in the lines. Lo and behold, she was right behind her. 2 people behind her. So you see my wife, you see PB's shoulder, and then Vivzy is the one holding the camera, and she was right behind her on the escalator. Immediately behind her. They never spoke, they never said anything. But my wife was very sad about the fact that she didn't get to meet Vivzy, even though she was literally right there. So, that was my first time cosplaying. This is what I've been busy with for the last month. But I do have a couple videos recorded in the chamber, which I should be editing soon, and you guys will be seeing pretty soon. I also have a couple different things I want to do as far as like Twitch streams and stuff are concerned. Hopefully, now that I have at least somewhat of a setup here, I can get that going. I've also been streaming on Whatnot, kind of. Depends on the day, really. But that's what I've been busy with. I'm sorry I've been gone for this long. But I promise you, things will come back. Things are going to come back. We're going to get some things going. I'm actually going to record a video pretty much right when I'm done with this. And we're going to go ahead and move forward with that. But thank you guys for tuning in to my cosplay and everything and how that went. Honestly, would I do it all again? Would I do all of this again just to say I did it? Absolutely not. Oh man, I'm probably not gonna do cosplay again, but we'll see what happens in a year's time when eventually I do go back to Momocon or I go to a convention and try to do something. We shall see. But until next time, until the next videos come out, I have been Cruz. This is a channel where I haven't done stuff in a while, but I'm back to doing stuff, and I will see y'all in the next video, whether it be WWE 2K24, My Rise, or the special Yu-Gi-Oh video I'm going to be recording later today. The Yu-Gi-Oh series I'm going to be recording later today with my buddy, Patrick, aka Triple Dunk. But until then, I'll see y'all in the next one. See ya!